Hey, stylists, welcome to another episode of the Stylistpreneur Podcast. I am your host, Damali Fils, and today we have a special guest. We have Tania Crawford. She is nationally award-winning hairdresser, strategic business consultant, and an industry coach. Tania, come on in the room. How are you?
Hey girl,
Hey.
I'm great. How are you?
I'm so excited to have you. I've been watching you from afar, and I was like, "Oh, she is really doing it. She's doing big things. She's accomplishing a lot, and she's making sure to take others with her." So I love that for you.
Thank you so much. And thank you for noticing that.
Yes. So I want to take it way back because everybody's story begins in their childhood. So you actually grew up in Italy, in Florence. How amazing is that? So how did you go from Florence to this top tier stylist?
Okay, so my dad was an entrepreneur and he was doing things in
Mm,
Europe at the time, and that's how he met my mom. She was Emilio Pucci's assistant in
wow.
Italy, and
Hmm.
they became lovers, and then
Right.
there was me. So that's how I was born in
Okay.
Italy because they both lived there for the time. And we actually moved around a lot. Like I
Okay.
lived in Ireland, I lived in Australia, I lived in Germany.
Oh,
And
wow.
then when I was 19, I met my ex-husband in
Hmm.
Germany, and I was going to college at the time. And I never really wanted to actually have a degree, but my
Right.
family kind of like pushed me.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, yes, because it's the stigma, just a hairstylist, but we're
Right.
so much more. I always wanted to be in the beauty industry.
Okay.
And so me and my ex-husband just took off to America because he was American. And
Okay.
that's how I ended up over here. And
Okay.
when I got to America, I was like, okay, now I can do whatever I want. I have all
Right.
the freedom. And so I signed up at Paul Mitchell, and
Hmm.
that kind of paved the way for me. Just like the whole culture is really amazing, and
Hmm.
it really set me up for success. And I went to school in North Carolina, and then we ended up relocating down to Florida. And
Okay.
that's where my home base is now.
Okay. Awesome. Now, what part of Florida?
I'm in Destin, Florida.
Okay, I know Destin. I'm actually from more like the Tampa, Florida area. So yeah,
Yes.
love Florida. Oh,
Yeah.
so I was thinking like this won't be in real time, but the hurricane is coming.
Yes. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Right.
We're good though. We're actually not
Okay.
getting hit. I feel bad for the whole Tampa area
I
because they
know, I
keep
know.
getting hit so badly.
I know. So before we go on
Yes.
a tangent about that,
Yes.
so you did mention Paul Mitchell. So I'm actually a Paul Mitchell grad as well. So we do have that in, familiar, right? So,
Yes.
and we were speaking before we even got started, like Paul Mitchell really sets you up for success. And I think where you are today shows that. So, is there anything that you remember from your days of being in Paul Mitchell and just being like, because I did that, I am where I am now?
Absolutely. So I feel like the core values that they teach you within
Hmm.
the Paul Mitchell system really set you up for success.
Right.
Like the say yes to every single opportunity. I mean, it literally gives me like goosebumps
Right.
because I'm sure you remember being in school and you have all the different teams and you can be
Hmm.
part of them. I was in the Be Nicer Else team. I
Hmm.
loved it. Free hugs.
Right.
And so there is this competition called Beacon, and you're probably
Hmm.
familiar with it. I
Yes.
entered it and I got to go and I got to do like the full week of training. And I was
Wow.
actually still in their little core program.
Okay.
So very like beginner. And I got to go and I got to sit at NAHA and got to
Hmm.
watch it. And I was sitting there and I was literally like, I want to be on that stage, or I want my
Right.
name to be on that stage in 4 years. And just having like that mindset of what like Paul
Hmm.
Mitchell taught me really made me be on that laser focused journey. And then 4 years later, that was my name on stage.
Oh,
So it was
wow.
really amazing. Yes. And I
Yeah.
still keep in contact with the director and everything. I have a really good relationship with them. They're
Hmm.
amazing.
Okay. So in that 4-year window, let's talk about that. We talked a little bit about mindset, but what are you doing in those 4 years to make that dream a reality? Because there's a lot of people that are like, they'll see it and they'll want it, but at some point, it may not happen. What was it that made that happen for you?
So I think one of the biggest misconceptions, and whoever chooses that journey, that is absolutely fine. That's their journey. But I
Mm-hmm.
think people think when you get out of school, you're going to be this big time stylist and you
Mm-hmm.
should be paid six figures, right?
Right.
Well, we both know that is not how it works.
No.
There were weeks where I literally made $25.
Mm-hmm.
And I just spoke actually at a retreat down in West Palm
I
about
saw
this.
that.
Yes, fellow Ulta stylist, because I know you used to work for Ulta too,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Yes. So I spoke on that topic, and people don't see the back end work that goes into it
Mm-hmm.
and the sacrifices that you need to do. I think consistency
Mm-hmm.
and integrity and just really living below your means when you have
Mm-hmm.
those type of goals and reinvesting everything into it. Anyone that has ever done an AHA competition and paid
Mm-hmm.
for it out of their own pocket, it is a lot of money. So when
Right.
I started in here, it was like that hustle culture. Like
Mm-hmm.
you went and did the walk-in,
Exactly.
you went and got your own clients. Like it was hustle time. So I actually worked 3 jobs.
Okay.
So whatever I made extra that was above, like what my basic bills were, I
Mm-hmm.
put into my NAHA fund, and that's
Nice.
what I paid for it for. And I put everything into it and then competed. And then I kind of forgot about it. And then somebody
Right.
texted me and they were like, dude, have you checked the website?
Oh, wow.
And back then I drove like a little VW Bug Cabrio,
Right.
and I was like screaming, and the guy next to me in the car like looked over like something was wrong with me because I was on the phone while I was like driving to work. And
Right.
I was like, I am not, and he didn't know what was happening, so it was kind of
Right.
like funny. But yeah, I loved it and I loved
Mhm.
going. It was amazing.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned like back then there was really like a true hustle. There was like
Yes.
passing out business cards. There's like really like advertising yourself versus now it's more online, which may be smarter and not harder. But I definitely grew up in those times where it's just like, no, I'm passing out cards and passing out flyers. But I will say that hard work paid off for you because now you're recognizing like the top 2% of elite hairstylists. Like, when you hear that, do you, like, internalize it and feel it? Like, what does that mean for you?
I feel like I'm just getting started. Like my
Mm,
ultimate goal, like shifting my career a lot to education too, and
mhm,
very extension focused, was definitely I wanted to change the industry and
mhm,
I wanted to like build up more of a community of like-minded stylists
mhm.
where we all sit at the same table and it's not where, okay, you're on the kids' table, but I'm over
Right?
here. So that was definitely one of my big goals, and I feel
Okay.
like I'm slowly like being able to create like that environment for stylists, that come to my retreat or do coaching with
Mhm.
me. They really truly feel like they're being supported and I'm able to support them in whatever journey they want to do. So I want that to be more and more in that kind of category.
Gotcha. Now, when did that shift happen? When did you decide, like, you know what? I really love doing extensions. I really love being in the salon, but I know that I can give more as an educator, as a coach. Like, when did that happen, and why did you decide that was best?
So it's kind of an interesting question because I've always wanted to do like more than just being behind the chair.
Mhm.
And when I did this kind of like study with my clients, I was like, why
Okay.
did you choose to come to me?
Mm.
And they all said, well, you're so different. Like the conversations we have, you're so
Mhm.
business oriented. You really have an
Exactly.
entrepreneurial spirit. And at that point, I was already running 2 companies. I had a bridal
Okay.
business and then my behind the chair business. And then I was a guest on another podcast that really kind
Mhm.
of made waves for me and how my business was progressing because
Okay.
people had never heard of hairstylists hitting $50,000 months.
Exactly.
And so and let me tell you, that comes from the hustle culture.
Right? It
Okay.
does.
So you
It
don't
does.
just get that by like seeing 3 clients a day.
Right.
But I definitely got a lot of DMs after that. And I feel like that really like presented my opportunity to me where I felt like,
Mhm.
okay, people really want to learn how I run this business and how I
Mhm.
created multiple streams of income, and how I manage my time efficiently and what my actual day-to-day look like and my
Right.
pricing structure. So I was like, okay, I need to come up with a concept. I didn't want to do online education. I really felt like it needed to be in person.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to create like that mastermind feeling
Okay.
where you feel like you're in the room with your equal, because it truly does show that your surroundings are who you are
It
and where you're
does.
going to go in life. And, your past doesn't define you. Your upbringings don't define you. It's about like who you allow in your immediate circle. And so
Exactly.
I wanted to create that feeling for those girls and men. I mean, women, not just
Right.
girls, but
Right.
women and men. And I feel like I've been doing a really good job with that. And people have really been thriving
Mm-hmm.
after the coaching. So I'm excited for what else is to come.
That's amazing. And I know you've had like some very memorable moments throughout your career. Just to mention Miami Swim Week and styling for
Mhm.
Christian Siriano. Can you tell us about those memorable moments?
Yeah, so that was another thing. Just say
Right?
yes to the
Okay.
opportunity. I actually also used to travel between here and Atlanta, so that's another thing I might
Mm-hmm.
want to bring to your attention. I've worked with Atkins Estamond and with Sierra Capri, and
Okay.
it was quite interesting because the industry was changing at that point where they really wanted somebody that could do hair and makeup,
Mm-hmm.
one. And I didn't even know what the job was. I just said, yes, I'll be
Right.
there. And I had to fly out 2 days after, I think, to Australia to visit my dad. But I
Okay.
just drove to Atlanta, literally turned around and drove back after the job was done. But it landed me a publication in Essence magazine. So that was really cool. And
Mm-hmm.
then Miami Swim Week, again, I just took that opportunity, went down there with Beauty Underground. It was amazing. And so that was an awesome experience. And every event I go to, I really use to network and
Mm-hmm.
get to know the stylists, but also get to know the models because they're the
Right.
ones that recommend you, everyone on set. And that's how I landed the gig with Stars, which
Okay.
was with Atkins Estamond. It was for one of his shows that he was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a recommendation from a wardrobe stylist. So I
Okay.
got to get him ready for his press interviews and everything on a regular basis. And that was really fun.
Oh, wow. I love
Yes.
that you mentioned networking because I don't think people realize the power of networking. Literally, like when I go to the beauty shows, I like say hi and know almost everybody. And people are just
Yes.
like, how do you know this person? I'm just like, when I see them, I network. When I have the podcast, I make sure to network. Like, there's so many opportunities that you can get out of just networking, right?
Agreed. And be nice or else, right? You never
Exactly.
know if you meet
Exactly.
that person again. Give some
Right?
free hugs. That's going to
Exactly.
be definitely memorable.
Exactly. I love that. So you've had some pretty cool features as well and publications in Essence, in The Knot. So with there being so many hairstylists, with there being some coaches, how do you make sure or how do you maintain that edge of standing apart and being different from others?
I think what is really going to set you apart, everyone is unique, right? And I
Mhm.
always tell that anyone that works for me, don't try to be like everyone else.
Mhm.
Do what everyone else is not doing because you want to stand out in the crowd.
Right.
We see so many people that post pretty pictures and it's beautiful, but you are your own brand. People
Exactly.
hire you because of how you are. You can be still starting out and still have challenges. If
Mhm.
you just are professional, if you show up on time, actually a little bit early because if we're on time, we're
Exactly.
late.
Exactly.
Um, but if you just show up as your best self and you're intentional in the things that you do, all those opportunities are going to come to you.
Mhm.
And also, another thing that I find super important and people kind of lose track of is when you don't put money as your motivation, which it is a
Mhm.
nice motivation, but
Right.
if you put a purpose as your motivation and what you want to do, everything else always falls into place exactly how you want it.
I agree. I agree with that. So, Tania, I know we always ask like balance. How do you do this? How do you do that? And balance may not be a real thing, but how do you do it all? How are you a stylist, a mentor? You're giving advice. You're running businesses. You're catching flights. How, girl? How? Tell us.
So it is definitely hard finding balance, but again, intentional with anything that I do and really good at managing my time. I do work a lot of times 7 days a
Okay.
week because when you do run your own business, I mean, with your podcast and
Oh
everything
yeah.
else you do, it really takes a lot of extra time after hours that people don't
Mm-hmm.
really think about, like sending invoices, prepping for a
Exactly.
call, prepping for a podcast. That is definitely it. But because I love
Mm-hmm.
it so much and
Right.
because I don't just do the same thing every day, I feel like that really gives me balance within my career. And then really using the time that I have free
Okay.
intentional.
Mm-hmm.
So I spend it intentional with my son. I have a little son, so he's
Oh,
going to be 4 in December. So
okay.
I love doing things with him. I love to travel and I love taking him with me on business trips too.
Mm-hmm.
And he loves it. And just like really using the time that you have, not just scrolling for
Exactly.
hours, really using it to do purposeful things that have a meaning.
I agree. I also have a little boy. He's 3.5. So yeah.
Yes,
And
they're
literally,
close in age.
yeah, literally this morning,
Yes.
he's like, Mommy, when are we going on the airplane? I was like, oh my gosh, you're
He
spoiled
wants
already.
a trip,
Yes.
wants to go on a trip with
Yeah, he's
you.
like, we're overdue.
I
He's
love that.
overdue. So, Tania, I know you have these luxury retreats, and I know you have one coming up. Please give us the
Yes.
details.
So our next one is January 2nd till the
Okay.
6th. It's going to be in Destin, Florida. It's like new year, new you. So
Mm-hmm.
completely fresh mind. This is for stylists that are already generating 6 figures behind the chair.
Okay.
Or like almost, I would say between 5 to 7 thousand a month.
Okay.
And they're really, when you're at that level, sometimes you need that extra push to
Mm-hmm.
really get you to multiple 6 figures and scaling your business. So,
Mm-hmm.
what I am teaching in that retreat is not only my business structure, how I do it, but it's sales training, how to ace every single client that comes into your chair, and
Okay.
how to determine how you have to sell to them because there is no cookie cutter method. It's
No.
like very specific. And again, we're being intentional with the clients that are coming in. Some don't want a hard sell, some need a soft
Right.
sell, right? We do wealth planning, financial planning, how you can prepare for your goals, how
Mm-hmm.
to set up multiple streams of income, branding,
Nice.
social media, skill, and pricing. And then they get a coaching call with me 4 weeks after to see where they're
Okay.
at and where they need extra support. It's honestly amazing.
It
I
sounds
mean,
amazing.
some of the girls that came at the beginning of this year, they literally doubled their income. One is now generating almost $40,000 a month every month
Nice.
with just doing few little steps in there.
Mm-hmm.
And the sales training was like a game changer for a lot of them. So I am excited to share and I'm so excited to help them. I think that's what gets me like really excited
Right.
about the whole
Just,
thing.
yeah, seeing those results, seeing those success stories, that is exciting. I
Yes.
love it. So
Yes.
now, as a consultant, I know you've partnered with, companies such as Tiffany Scott Extensions. How are these collaborations able to help you with your business, make you stand apart, and just become an influence in the beauty industry?
So I really like to align myself with ethical companies that are all
Mm,
ethically sourced and high quality. And so I really love, again, here we are networking,
mm-hmm.
but I network on
Exactly.
Instagram. So creating that relationship, being authentic, and really giving brands a chance when they're starting
Mm,
out and being supportive. Ibiza Hair Tools, I have literally worked with them over the years, probably for 8 or 9 years.
okay.
And I've actually met Aaron in person. He lives in
Nice.
San Diego. So he saw me on a plane one time going out that way. And
Wow.
he's like, I live here. Let's meet up. So we met up, had a business meeting. He
Right.
was
You
so
said
excited.
yes.
Yes, I said yes. And Yeah, and so we just formed like even a better relationship that way. Same with Tiffany. She actually flew down for my last retreat. She's going to come for this one too.
Okay.
And so I just love, watering those relationships
Hmm.
because they don't blossom unless you water them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I've relocated 4 times, and in each city I moved, people are like, "Oh my gosh, how are you doing?" I was like, "I know 10 people there. Like, we've been friends
Yes.
online, and now like we're meeting up for lunch and doing business in the new city that I'm in." So yes, you definitely have to water those trees so that they'll grow.
Yeah, it's just like a relationship, a marriage,
Exactly.
everything, friendship. I feel like you need to treat them like friends. Always check in and
Exactly.
be nice, but also, again, be honest when they ask you for feedback. That's
I
what they
agree.
want, right?
True.
Yeah.
Yes, I
Yes.
agree. So I know you mentioned like some stylists, they get to that point where they're almost at 6 figures or just over it, and sometimes they need a little push. Are there any other challenges that you're seeing with stylists when they're looking to take their business to the next level or just looking to overcome certain obstacles?
Yes. And it's actually a part that I teach in the
Okay.
retreat. It's overhead. A lot of
Mm,
people, when they go out on their own, they think they make all this money. But when you've worked as a commissioned stylist, somebody was doing the color ordering, somebody was
mm-hmm.
doing, all your stuff for you. So you didn't really know how much overhead is actually appropriate. They just think
Right.
all this money is coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the challenges I have found, especially when I do also private coaching clients,
Mm-hmm.
they're actually in the negative when they
Mm,
come home. They think they
yeah.
made, let's say if you're a six-figure stylist, you work 4 days a week, you make about five to $750 a day.
Mm-hmm.
They're actually minus 100 because,
Mm,
they
yeah.
didn't price their structure right. They're working these hours and
Mm-hmm.
if they're lucky, they maybe have 50% they're walking home with. Why did you
Right.
not be a commissioned stylist at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this on your own? So, really restructuring overhead, knowing how much your color tube that you're using on
Exactly.
your client is costing you, how much your water is costing you, your shampoo you're using at the
Yeah.
back, your extensions. So much goes into it.
Yeah, it does. And I think a lot of people, like you say, they're not looking into it. I will say I got lucky. My husband works in finance, so he's just like, wait, you need to double, triple that. Like you have to pay for the product, your time. Like
Yes,
there's things that I guess Paul Mitchell was great, but there's still additional education that you need afterwards. There's the continuing
absolutely.
education. So I'm glad that you're giving that to stylists because you get out of school and you don't necessarily have a roadmap. But for an amazing stylist like yourself, you've created one, you've lived it, you tried it, and now you're sharing it with other stylists. So I'll be the first to say thank you for that. Because we
Thank
love to
you.
see another, for me, I love to see another stylist, really living out their dreams, achieving their goals, and even so being able to reach back and bring others with them. So that's amazing.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Right.
it truly gives me joy that I can do this for other people and help them actually, bring food to the table for their kids. A lot of
Hmm.
them are single moms,
Right.
so I feel like that's a game changer for them.
Gotcha. So now would you say that's like one of the most rewarding parts about what you're doing, that you're able to help people, able to get them out certain situations and just build their revenue and their business?
I feel like that is definitely one of the very rewarding things, but
Mm-hmm.
also what is so nice is I get to meet so many incredible
Mm-hmm.
clients in my chair and I get to change
Right.
their way of thinking about themselves. Like when they leave
Mm,
my chair with beautiful hair extensions and they feel like
right.
they have the hair from their youth. And that's one thing I always teach anyone that comes to
Mm,
my retreat or to my personal coaching
okay.
is interview your stylist in your chair. They
Mm,
are all successful in what they do. That's why they
right.
sit in your chair because they can afford to see you.
Exactly.
And they run these businesses. If you have questions on how to invest your money properly,
Mm,
ask them. They've already done it, they've already done the
right.
trial and errors, and they can give you some really good advice.
I agree. I love those clients. Like, I can remember a client that owned like a finance firm, and I can ask her
Mhm.
anything about business. And I think that just goes to like being aligned with the people that you're networking with your clients. Like all that really matters. How have you been able to like align yourself with certain brands, certain clients, and even so certain individuals that are attending your retreats?
It's really knowing what your target audience is, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like. And again, here we are. I'm using the word intentional. You're showing
Right?
up intentional to your job. You're showing intentional up on social
Mm-hmm.
media, and you're attracting those people that you want, and you become them yourself.
Mm,
And I think that's big.
right. So I
Yeah.
love that. So Tania, tell me, with who you are, what you're doing, was it always the plan? Have you always worked towards like the mindset, the entrepreneurship? Like, how were you able to really accomplish all this? Because I think some people looking at like, okay, I have a big dream, but has there been coaching that you've done on your own? Has there been books?
Yes.
Has there been meditation? Like, give us a rundown on some of those secret things you're doing.
So, always taking education, always
Mhm.
growing. And I have done personal coaching. I invested in that myself. I feel like every coach needs a coach
Mhm.
too.
I think
So,
so.
that's really important. Um, Joined a group that was kind of like a mastermind group,
Mhm.
and that was really helpful. And then also aligning myself with like-minded people is really
Mhm.
big, so you can bounce ideas back and forward. Another big thing is too, I find inspiration a lot of times in other industries too.
Mhm. Okay.
So I have invested in coaching as well with people that are not in my field, but they
Mhm.
know how to scale businesses, and they know how to hire, and they know how to really scale
Mhm.
big time. And they do some sort of online program themselves. So they know how to build it up, but they're not necessarily in my field. So
Gotcha.
I feel like everyone has very valuable things to share.
Mhm. I love that. Like, I love watching documentaries like, the McDonald's documentary, like, that story was crazy, but I love watching stuff like that or Steve Jobs. So there's definitely something you can learn from all,
Yes.
different careers. So I definitely agree, and I love that. So there's one question I ask every
Okay.
guest, and that is, what is your superpower as an entrepreneur in the beauty industry?
I'm a chameleon.
Ooh.
I can reinvent myself, and I can adapt to anything that is thrown my way and make it
Mm.
a positive.
Right? And that is powerful. That's definitely a
Yes.
superpower. Because like, and I just from listening to you, I know you're watching the industry trends, you're knowing when
Yes.
things are changing. So I love that adaptability that you have because some people get stuck. Things change and they're just like, oh no, that's not what I do. I used to do this back in the day. But when you are open to that change, I believe you give yourself open to new opportunities.
Yes, and I love change. I kind of
Right?
get excited because I'm
Okay.
like, "Ooh, now we're, like, brewing
Right?
some fun little witches brew up, and we're going,
Right?
and doing something amazing and exciting. Perfect for Halloween, you know?"
Right, Halloween is coming up. That's
Yes.
amazing. So, Tania, I wanna make sure that everyone's able to follow you. I wanna make sure that they're gonna be at your retreat. Where can we follow you and stay in contact?
Yeah, so they can follow me at Tania_Crawford and slide in my DMs. I am
Right?
super good at responding. I love talking to my followers. And then also, if they want to apply for the retreat, they can go to taniacrawfordedu.com. And
Okay.
there's an application process, and they have to do a little essay, and then we review it and approve it, if they're a good fit,
Okay.
and that's how they can come. And there's actually a special discount code for you.
Yes.
So they have to just select that they heard me on your podcast, and it
Okay.
gets automatically applied. It's $500 off.
Oh, that's exciting. So yes, I'll make sure all my listeners know that because they are going to be there in January in Destin getting
Yes.
all those tips and tricks from you. So
Yes.
Tania, I won't keep you because girl, you're busy. Okay. I want to say thank you so much for taking out the time of your day. This has been an amazing interview. You've given so many gems and I know it's going to help someone. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And it's been such a pleasure talking to you. And I know we're both going to change the industry
We
and
are.
Say yes and be nice
Right?
girls.
Exactly. And we are forever connected now. So I wish you
Yeah.
the best. You're already doing amazing, but I just can't wait for the next 5 to 10 years of all the more amazing things you'll be doing.
Well, we better like keep up with one
We
another.
will, we will, I
Yes.
promise. All right. Have an amazing day.
Thank you.